All right, hello and welcome. This, I guess we could call a podcast or a video basically describing everything that's new in the recent update of SteamPeak. There's a lot that has happened on other interfaces like steemit.com. They have also released communities. So this is like the big update is based on communities, but there's quite a few other things that have happened here on SteamPeak.com. And I'm going to attempt to walk through quite a few of these. We'll start with some of the bigger ones, and then we'll move to some fun little tips and some other little additions that we added to the new SteamPeak. So hope you enjoy the video. Please feel free to leave some comments, commentary, some bug reports, some suggestions. We have a lot more still to do. But communities is, I guess, the big feature. So let's start with that. So up top, we have a list to those communities that you have subscribed to. Plus, you can just click on all communities, which will give you, first of all of your subscriptions to begin with. If we do have some featured communities that we put up there to help. And then there's an algorithm, not of our design, but one that we're using at the moment, that sorts the communities based on some sort of algorithm that maybe looks at how many users and how much perhaps rewards that have happened in that community. So one thing you should note is that there are 3 different view styles. We have this on most pages, right? So you can go right here and you can see more at one time. Now, this right here may look like a search. It's not so much a search as it is a filter. So what will happen is, if I'm looking for a photography community, you could type in photo, and then it will keep on looking through that list and filtering them, of course. So here are all of the options of communities that have these characters in it. So photo, the inside of it somewhere. So there you go. So search options are definitely something we're looking into, and also categorizing communities as well would be of a great benefit. This is kind of edition 1 of communities. Now let's go into a community. Of course, let's go into the SteamPeak community. We have allowed people to add a cover photo and easily add a profile photo, which will show up. The profile photo will show up when searching for communities. And we may need to change our profile photo so you can see the actual name here. Don't put white there. That's a tip for you. So if you are a community owner or you want to create a community, once you've created one, you can go into actions and you can edit roles. So this is one of the big things about communities. It's basically stating that someone can own this area of the internet, and no company like us or any other company can sever your relationship with the users, the subscribers of that community. It would have to be one of you two. So either the subscriber unsubscribes or you, I guess, mute them or something to that effect. But there's no third party that could kind of come in and do something. That's kind of the cool thing about communities. So we go in here, so that's edit roles, so you can change who's an admin, and the admins have the ability to change settings, and they get to moderate. And moderators only moderate. So what are some of the things they can moderate? Well, they could mute a post. Let's say this has nothing to do with SteamPeak. It happens to have something to do with SteamPeak, so we've kept it here. But you can go into here, and I can mute it in the community called SteamPeak. Not to be confused with SteamPeak.com, but really that's only a confusion that would happen to me or another moderator of this particular community. You're going to see it's going to say mute in the photography community or mute in the OCD community, that sort of thing. So there you go. You can also pin it. So that's something that moderators can do. And pinned post can go up, they go up at the top. Now, we do have the ability to sort these by recent or again by popular, which is kind of that rewards way of sorting thing. Pin will obviously still go at the top, and then you'll have it use this algorithm of popular, which isn't just meaning who has the most rewards, but it also has to do with days, of course. So if you weren't familiar with how Steam usually works, the interfaces, they have an algorithm that basically looks at, because this one has 125, but it was 2 days ago, as opposed to this one that was 1 day ago at 70. And this one would be the highest because it's 13 hours ago at 120, but it's pinned at the top anyway. So you could also look at some posts have been muted. Now this isn't just posts, this is also comments and stuff like that. So you can mute particular bots. Not that it's not a statement that you hate the bot. It's just that it's kind of cleans up all the comment feeds. They could still post there. That's totally fine, but they're just going to be muted. Anyway, let's go back to recent. And so now we know there's a few things to do. So that's why I wanted to explain that before we go into settings. There's certain things that the admins can do. They can change the language. They can change the about. Assume they can change the title as well. They can add a description. We do allow markdown language in the added description. One of the new things that we've done in several places is this ability to make these comment boxes a little bit bigger. And then rules are 1 per line. That is true. You don't need to put a 1, 2, 3 or a bullet point. Just put 1 per line, and then choose if it's in SFW, meaning it's not really suitable for children or work. So we have also added on SteemPeak some other options, the ability to quickly and easily upload your profile picture and a background. But we also have a few different things. What would you, as your community, like to make as the default page? So the about page, the recent page with recent posts. Also, we have this photo view. Do you want that as an option for viewers? And then here's the options of the view mode: blog, list, grid, and you could enable photo, and then it would also be an option. There is also a Discord bot from this company called Titan Embeds. So if you have the knowledge on how to do that, that is not necessarily something that we totally control. You're going to have to set up this on your own. But when you click on that, then it will work. Now, this whole section of others is basically stuff that you're going to have the active key from the account that is the community is centered on. So it's not for every admin. It's just for someone that perhaps is the owner of the account that has that ability to use that key. So there we go. There's some stuff about communities. One of the biggest things I would love people to understand about communities is that you can post to a community and then put it onto your blog page just by re-steaming the post. So each time that we do a post on SteemPeak, we are putting it directly into SteemPeak. So this was posted directly into the SteemPeak community. You can see it kind of right here. And then what we do is we go down to the bottom and we re-steam it. We hit this button and we put it directly onto our profile, our blog. So it's on the blog, even though we put it into the SteemPeak community. So if you put something into a community and then re-steam it to your page, if it's kind of this general thing that you want everyone to see, okay? And there we go. So let's go back to communities to see if we've explained pretty much everything. You can also see the number of subscribers, though there may be a limitation to this right now. It may only go up to a certain number, so something to consider. And there could end up being lots and lots of subscribers, so this just maybe gets overwhelming anyways. But you could go there and just kind of search, oh, for the person that you're wondering if it's there. Just kind of a random different thing. The About section has most of the same stuff that we put over on the right-hand side. The team members, the rules, the description, and kind of the short description, I guess, as well. Over here, we have active users, kind of means everyone that's interacted with posts that are inside your community, and the number of interactions itself. And then the pending rewards for all the posts done in the last 7 days only. So there may be more opportunities for different statistics for communities in the future, but these are the ones that are starting off with. And then you can write a post as well directly into a community. So when you do that, what's changed over here is we have given you the option of which community you want to write this post into. And if I may take the time, this isn't something new, but I want to point out these advanced functions. So there are some that are called Steam commands. When you do these, it adds it to the post. So if you write in Jarvie, if I wrote in Jarvie, then it will display as me being the author. So I'm going to open up another post or another window here and give you an example. If you go here, let's see here, it says authored by Jarvie. So kind of interesting thing, if you're on a shared sort of account, you can actually specify who the author is. But post description is something that we believe that everyone should be doing because it helps a lot with SEO, which is search engine optimization. And it helps when you post something to you cross post, right? So if you put something on Facebook, on Reddit, or on all sorts of on Twitter, it will show the person the short description that you have chosen. Otherwise, the default is to just grab the first couple of lines of text, which may not be a very good description. The first couple lines of text may not be a good description for your post. So it's important to put in a post description. Countdown timer is a fun thing to do, especially if you have a show or something to that effect, or an event or an announcement. And then you can actually add a permalink or choose which cover image you want. Now, I know these things aren't necessarily new, and you also may be looking at this and going, why is it all dark? I'm not used to it being dark, because we're testing out, we have dark mode, or night mode, I guess you could call it, and we've had it for a little while. So here we are on the settings for the account SteemPeak. Okay, now this may not seem exactly like you're used to, because it's for SteemPeak. Maybe we'll go over to my account, the Jarvie account. Okay, now my default is light mode, but I could change it to dark mode by going over here, use night mode, and then turning it to on. When it saves that setting, then you'll have it on any interface. Any computer or that you're on will also be in night mode. But there's a few other things that happen with the interface that you can change. You can reduce the size on mobile if you're having bandwidth issues. You can even turn on the image slider in grid view. So let's go look at some stuff to give you an example of that. Now, if you're in grid mode, which happens to be my favorite, you see one thumbnail. But if you go into something like the blog view, and if there are multiple images, like on this one, which happens to be by SteemPeak, then you can click on this little arrow and kind of scroll through all the images, or drag and drop across. So the drag and drop doesn't work too well because then it goes into the image. So hitting the little arrow can help. And down here you'll see how many images there are. So that's really nice, especially if you're in some photo thing where you know it's going to be mostly photos anyways. You can kind of consume a lot of the content. Or then you look at all these pictures and go, I wonder what they wrote about it. And you can go further into it. So when you see these little 3 dots here, that means that they did not write a short description for their post. They could go in, click on this, the user themselves could click on these 3, and there would be an edit option. They could go to and edit and add a short description. What has been defaulted is just the first couple of lines of text. Again, 3 dots means the first couple of lines of text. As opposed to here, we believed that the introduction, all it really needed to say about this post was this post is an introduction to badges on SteemPeak. So if people want to read that, it's much shorter and easier. No one's really going to read these long ones, to be honest. And they cut off awkwardly. So that's just a little tip to add. So now we could turn on a little slider option. That's why we came here, to show off sliders. We can go into settings, go to interface, and enable, well, we can disable the image slider in general, but we can also turn on the image slider for grid mode. That's, I guess, pretty self-explanatory, so we'll let you do that on your own if you'd like to. You can also choose your default mode. Now, none of these things, this thing isn't necessarily new. The image slider and grid view is, okay? But come back into settings from time to time, you may see some different things. You can also lock your account so that the account cannot see NSW posts, which I have done at the moment, but you can unlock with something like the active key. So if you were to give an account to a child, you could lock it and then just don't give them the active key. The posting key can give them the ability to vote and comment and do lots of things. All right, let's see if there's anything else new here. There's nothing new in this section, and I don't believe there's anything new in the general section. So, but these things are pretty cool. I don't know if you want me to describe what all they do, but this was supposed to be an introduction to new things. Let's go back to communities. Let's double check that we have everything kind of figured out. Let's go to one that we aren't. Sometimes the list does take a little bit of time to populate. We're pulling it from, well, see, here you go. Here's a featured community. We're going to try to work on these different types of decentralized communities in the future. But let's go to a popular community like SteemPeak, or Steam Leo community. So the default's to recent, and you've got a few pinned posts, and then here's all the recent ones. I think that we've mostly gone through what all this does. You can go to activities and see what's been happening. A lot of subscriptions. There's some property settings. It's kind of, and then see the different flags for people maybe that have spammed. There we go. Let's go to the next big thing, which is probably the Explore page, because it shows off all the different things that you could do when you go to SteemPeak, when you want to look through different things. So there's feeds, and over here even though this is on the Explore page, we also have a quick option, which is the 3 main defaults are those that you follow, a feed of all their posts, a feed of all the community, all the posts inside of communities that you follow, and then if you've ever favorited different users on SteemPeak, there's a favorites feed. Now, badges are something new, and we'll get to that. So here's all the different feeds from the different badges. One of my favorite is the Steam News, which I like seeing things in grid mode, so we'll go there. So that's where I go to kind of get some news of what's happening. But maybe I want to see news from different Steam projects, which may end up being a lot of the same things since the news that impacts Steam is usually from Steam projects. So, um, but also in feeds is all the all the lists that you've created, which are the private sort of lists. Badges are public lists. So let's go back to explore. So we have feeds and then topics, which we kind of talked about earlier, which is all the times that posts have been tagged with a different tag, or what we would call topics. When you go into explore, it defaults to all topics, but you can add any topics that you tend to like to go to. So I love going to photo feed, for example, and seeing all of the posts that have had this tag. Okay? So there we go. All the posts with the photo feed tag are here, sorted by default by reward, or I can go and see them chronologically first. All topics, I suppose, is what most people have tended to call trending, but the honesty is that every topic has a trending post, which is an algorithm that kind of looks at how much rewards you have gotten. We can go to it. How much rewards you have gotten and how old the post is. So this post, 846 compared to 922, but this one's only been out for 2 hours as opposed to this one for 5 hours. So this one takes a first place. So this is just kind of a unique algorithm that is there to make things perhaps interesting for you, but you have the choice to view it by that algorithm or view it chronologically. And there may be future ones to give you more options, but that's how it is. Again, we go back to this all topics thing, which sometimes people consider trending. That means you're looking at every interest, every topic in all of Steam and seeing how they all kind of meld together. So that's, people that are writing development. There's a lot of, what do we have a lot in common on Steam? Well, the concept that we have a lot in common is Steam itself. That's why you'll see it here to a certain extent, but sometimes there'll be things that aren't necessarily Steam related that will show up towards the front, I suppose. So there you go. Let's go back to Explore. You have Steam News, which is basically just a quick link to that badge that I mentioned that we showed you for a moment. Communities, which is a quick link to what you can have right here. But this page is great for a new user to see up front all the different things that they can do. So that's why Communities, Steam News, and Feeds are here, even though they're also up at the top menu. And so is Tribes. Tribes is something created by a third-party company called Steam Engine. And then we have this new feature called Badges. So badges are a public list of users created by different people. For example, I created the Utah Steamians badge, and I help work with the photographers of Steam badge. But then different companies like SteemPeak and DTube and Steam Leo have created a badge for their users. So let's go into one of them. We did this one today, and what we've said is someone who tested the beta of SteemPeak and gave feedback. Basically, we just wanted to reward and remember who those people that helped us out. If you were someone that helped out and we didn't add you, let us know. It's an easy sort of like accomplishment sort of badge. Now, there are other types of badges. This I'd consider more of an accomplishment sort of badge. This one is more of a identifier badge, right? A SteemPeak user badge. It's for every user, someone that has gone in and logged in on SteemPeak, the video platform. And so they've given it to quite a few people, 1,300 as opposed to our previous one, which was, 19? But there's also other types of badges that you consider a little bit more like a utility sort of badge. Steam developers. It helps you recognize who the different Steam developers are, and you can go to the recipients and look through who they all are. But also, what's really interesting about these one is that there's a feed that you can kind of see what they've been doing. Or if you happen to be pretty intrigued by what the top 20 witnesses have been doing, you can go to the witness badge, the top 20 witness badge, and see what they've been writing about. Now, we expect to see a whole lot more of these badges in the future. Just today, we've already had 4 being added, and a couple, well, actually maybe 5 or 6 have been added today. So we expect there to be quite a few more. We've recently did a post about how to create them. We'd love to see a few more before we create an actual create a badge system. Right now it's all kind of manually done and we're not charging for it. We just want some great ideas to give people some recognition for all just interesting ways to do it, you know. This one right here, Peak Monsters Guild, is just kind of like they're part of it. It doesn't necessarily function amazingly as a feed, but Steam Projects is a great feed. And probably one of the best ones is this Photographers of Steam badge, where you can go through and see great photography, because the impetus for this is that these are individual users that post primarily photography and are presently active. Also, one other caveat of this one, for example, is that they also abide by the NSFW tag. So they could be in here, but they just need to make sure that they appropriately use the NSFW. So you as a badge creator just maybe want to think of these sorts of things. And the badges are square. Let's take an example. Let's go to one of these people, Captain Klaus. He says he's a holistic photographer, and he has 3 badges already. So he's a SteemPeak user, he's a SteemPeak tester, and he's a photographer of Steam. So, kind of a fun way to do that. In the future, there may be quite a few badges, and we'll give the user the option of which ones they want to primarily display up front, of course. So maybe you can go and see all the ones that they are recipients of, but they get to choose which ones they really want to highlight. Now that we're in a user profile, let's talk about the changes that we've done to the user menu. It's blog, and now there's this thing called all posts, because on your blog are not the community posts. So if you want to see community posts, you need to go to all posts. Now there is communities posts are represented by this teal green color. Okay, so not teal green means it's a blog post, and then all these teal green ones means it's a community post. So this particular user posts a lot in communities. It looks like he's been using the cross posting function a lot. I've looked through these. They all make sense to me. Let's go to my profile, for example. Now on my blog post, you'll see that some of them are green, which means that I've posted them to a community, and then I hit the Resteem button, and it showed up here on my blog post. So that's one thing, again, I want to reiterate, is that when you post something and you intend for it to be in a community, post it to that community. And then you can Resteem it to your homepage. Okay? We will talk about what a cross post is in just a few minutes. But this is where you can see all their posts. Now, I kind of just meant this quick one to be just in the Steam Think Tank community or just in the Steam governance community. So I did not put them on my blog. And they weren't really meant for general consumption by all my users. They're meant for the type of people that are interested in Steam governance. So I posted that in here. You can see it was 5 days ago, and there's been several posts since then. So all these subscribers are types of people that are interested in Steam governance type stuff. And we know that it's going to be pretty decent because there are quite a few admins that are here to help moderate this community, to make sure it stays at a consistent quality, and that the type of content here is really Steam governance related, and that you can also moderate out spammers or people trying to that really aren't following they're not really adding anything to the subject of the community, which in this case is Steam governance. So let's go back for a moment to here we are. So comments is another thing. So there's comments and replies that you can still see if you want to go see other people's stuff. Now, if you just want to see the replies directly to you, over here on the right-hand corner, we still have a lot of things that apply directly to you. However, this user menu works for any user on the whole entire Steam ecosystem. When you go over to here, this one's related directly to you. So if you want to see your wallet, you just click here and it goes directly to your wallet. If you want to see just replies to you, this is where you would go and you can see these replies pretty quickly. So there you go. I have turned on portfolio, which was an option in settings, which is kind of a SteemPeak sort of thing at the moment, though it doesn't prevent any other interface from also creating portfolio like this. Now there are some other options. Now another quick connection, a quick link to connections, which you can also get to by clicking up above. But there's also all of the communities that a particular user is connected to. So here are all the ones that I'm an admin for, all the ones I'm a moderator for, and all the ones that I'm a guest. Okay, so you can see that for any particular user. Community subscriptions are a public thing. There are also notifications. There's payouts, which means just kind of the ones that are presently going that have some sort of payout in the next 7 days. And we even kind of added it up for you, what we believe this could end up being, that in the next 7 days, this particular user may end up getting around this amount. So, and then you have an access to their wallets. If you want to see someone else's wallet, you can go into others and go to wallet and kind of peek on them, I guess, stalk them a little bit. So, but remember again, this is one thing I want you to see is that your favorite view you can do pretty quickly at any point in time. This is actually new. There's no drop down, just 3 little icons. You go to list mode. You can go to grid mode. Give moments to load the pictures, of course. I'm actually hotspotting with my cell phone, so it's not the fastest. And then you can go to blog mode. So, and I have a few different badges that are pretty fun. So when you go to someone, you're like, oh, Utah Steemians? I wonder who else is in Utah. So you go here, well, you're going to see all the different content that Utah Steemians have done. But then I can go to the recipients and see all the ones that we know of that are in Utah. Okay, so let's see what else is new. The top menu is obviously new, and I've kind of gone through them. Here's the different feeds. There's a quick link to explore, since that's such an important thing. And maybe a quick link to topics is something that we can do, because in the Explore, topics is really one of the only things we don't have a quick link. You could add the badge for Steam News, and then there'd be a quick link over here for Steam News. Communities obviously has a quick link. Feeds has a quick link. Tribes does as well. And then, so it would basically be topics and curators are some of the things that don't have a quick link, of course. So we'll look into that as well. But curators we've had for a long time, so we won't go over that. There's going to be some upcoming changes to how search works. Stay tuned for that. But we also wanted to give you a faster access to services. Previously, you needed to go to the tools section and go down and find services here to see all the services that we kind of link with, especially if you want to download and use Keychain on your desktop. This is one of the best options. Come here, hit download, and there you go. So, but these are our partners or different software that we kind of work with. But let's go back to, if you were to just click tools, it defaults to this top one, which we call analytics. And you can load more and more data. So if you look over here, now it's going all the way back to January 18th. I click again. Now it's going back to January 1st. So kind of where things are at, you know. There we go. But what we've added is this thing called views. So top pages yesterday, looks like there's not too many views of my page today. That's fine. It may actually be because the day is based on UTC, or Greenwich Mean Time, I suppose. But let's look at the last 7 days. Now, we've only been going since about February 12th. February 12th, that's 8 days as of present that we've switched to this new system, an open source software that we are using on a server that we control called Matimo. So we left Google Analytics, and now we're using this system that only we have access to, making it safer for everyone. So, that's what we believe, and also it's going to add some functionality, like this, letting you see the different posts that have been the most popular. So, my particular post that's been the most popular is this raw notes from the Ask Me Anything between Justin Sun and Ned. Now, there's a caveat to this. We've only started tracking SteemPeak.com since maybe 12 hours ago. So a lot of this comes from the beta traffic. So really, if you want to be honest about it, it's really only tracked 12 hours of really consistent good viewership, because beta was somewhere around 10 to 20 times less used than the regular website. So this is kind of moving forward. You can keep on looking back at views and seeing what some of your posts that are the most popular are. Now, there's going to be beyond posts, there's comments and everything, that sort of stuff. So look for us to do a little bit more help in organizing this data for you in the future. But we've got the basics down here for now. So something I wanted to share a little bit about. What else is new? I'm going to go through the list that I created on SteemPeak. Well, here's one thing. Here's all these different accounts that I have that I can easily switch to. We've added a notification check on each one of them when you bring this up. So we can go to SteemPeak and look at the new notifications, which I guess we should mention is a new thing, right? So let's go to profile. Well, let's go to the notifications. So right here, Archange replied to your post. Archange resteamed my post, and Captain Klaus mentioned you. So this is SteemPeak that he mentioned, right? Not me specifically. So I could go into here. You really should look at SteemPeak.com. Blah, blah, blah. So we're like, okay, thanks for mentioning us, and vote. Now, another thing I can do is I'm going to quickly go to here. Impressive list of updates. Kudos. And we're going to give this a little vote as well. What happens with notifications, so there's one present action going on right now, and that's the vote. Once it's gone, there we are. When you click this little arrow, it basically tells the system that you have checked it, and it saves it somewhere, that you have checked the notification at this time, this present time. So therefore, we won't show you anything before this present time. So you just kind of need to click that button from time to time when you've looked at something. But it makes it really nice to go from Switch users and go, oh, there's a notification over on Peak Monsters that I want to see. Someone replied to my post. They didn't really ask a question, and I'm presently recording, so I'm not going to respond to it. I'm going to give it a little vote, and then click red. So let's go. What I wanted to do was make sure that I've gone through everything. So we're going to go, profile is now over here. So just click profile. we've also thought of when you click here, it does the drop down. But maybe when you click here, it should go directly to profile. And tell us what you think. Just faster ways to get to the things that are the most used. All right, so let's go to this post. We talked about communities and all the different things that we have for it. We talked about the different and unique community settings that we have added there. There's a Discord option. So it'll create a page that embeds Discord. We kind of talked about that for a moment, but we didn't show an example of it being used. But if you want to, you'll go and test that out, and that's kind of between your community and you, I guess. Cross-posting, we need to talk about that. We did talk about the top menu, the explore page, the new notifications. There is a notifications filter, which let's do that real fast. So when you go to view all, let's say you have a lot of notifications, if you hit the view all, you can kind of sort them. So here's all of the mentions of view, or all of the new followers. So let's go take a look at that. I just want to see all the new followers. That's pretty nice, of course. And then all the replies, stuff like that. So that's one new thing. Also, cross-posting is new. We didn't mention that. So if I go through, let's say, well, here's one fun way to do it. I'm going to go to topics and go to my favorite topics and look for posts that people have tagged as SteemPeak. I don't like this view as much, so I'm going to go to this grid mode and start looking through things. And I'm interested in seeing if there's any posts that have been done on their blog or on a different community. So this person has put this, I guess, in a Dutch community, so I'm not going to reshare it to the SteemPeak community per se. This account has tagged, used the topic tag for SteemPeak because probably they just use SteemPeak and like SteemPeak. Ah, okay, look at this one. Cross-posting in SteemPeak. Steam has more impressions. I'm not sure what this is all about. Oh, they've written quite a long thing about this.
Hello, everybody. We have another decooperation.
And then it just auto starts to play.
Person.
That's too bad. That's So if I liked this post and I wanted to put it into the Steam community, now I probably wouldn't use SteemPeak account to do it. I have other user accounts that I do that sort of thing. So we use this thing called Peak Moderator to moderate a lot of our communities. Let's do that real fast. Moderator. I was using beta a lot, so if I wanted to add this to the, and part of this is because there's a lot of auto vote systems out there, which are cool, and I understand the reasoning for the auto votes. However, the auto vote systems are not smart enough to recognize community posts or cross posts. So they're just going to, if you cross posted this with SteemPeak, it would get 30 plus 30 to 50, well, at least 30 vote, $30 vote, which I hesitate to say, call it a dollar, because it's not always representative of a dollar. But anyways, that's another subject for another time. So that's why I tend to use a different one. Let's say I want this in the Steam community. And then I go here and I cross post it. Oh, so we're not going to cross post one that is already cross posted. We're going to go to this original one, which was put into the DC.
Hello, everybody. We have
that is annoying. Just stay in 3Speak. That's annoying. The autoplay. I don't know. Maybe that's on our end that we need to not autoplay it. Just saying. Okay. So now I want to cross post it in the 3Speak or the SteemPeak community. I would do that. I would write a short message to give context to this new community. Because this was posted in the DC cooperation community, and now we're putting it to a different community, and I want to give it some context for our community. So that's what I would tend to do if you're a community operator, is you can still find things that are in certain topics, like I talked about earlier. Peak moderator. Let's do this. Let's add SteemPeak as a topic that the peak moderator is very interested in. And then we can go and see, let's go by created. Maybe there's some really good content that we would love to see in our community that isn't presently there, and we can look at the most recent ones. So as a community operator, you really want to provide your community with some great content. So sometimes that means going out and finding it and putting it there. So I don't know. We'll maybe come back and find some good examples of really good. This one is pretty great, testing out communities and SteemPeak update. However, this one has already been put into the SteemPeak community. So this one has really nothing to do with SteemPeak, but they're using the tag, and that's fine. The thing about communities is, you know, it's going to be all in regards to that, of interest to that community, assuming the community is ran well. So that's one of the awesome things about communities, is that you have moderators, you have a little bit of quality control on there. It doesn't take away that you can have those topics still exist. They aren't moderated, and for the most part, and those still happen. And so now you have a couple of different options. I think that I've gone through everything. Peak moderator, we also added this thing here, some did you knows, to give people an idea about night mode, which is kind of funny. A lot of people are like, we're so glad you just added night mode, and we're like, it's been around for a year. But now that's why we have the did you know. So did you know you can add night mode, you can vote for witnesses, you can vote for a proposal. So you just click here, and then it goes to the Steam proposal system. Now, every user on Steam can be, add to this. So here are all the proposals that are getting like $100 a day, $150 a day, $15, $1, and it's green. So therefore, they're not getting anything. It's kind of almost just like a vote. They get the dollar and they send it right back. So it's just kind of a way to vote to an extent. And then 100, 180. We are up close, so this is the cutoff. If we were about 2 million more Steam Power of votes, we'd also be getting a lot more funding, which we could use for something like hiring developers, designers, and some people to help with marketing plans that we have. However, we do want to make sure that we have high retention rates on the site before we do heavy marketing. And that means making sure that this is intuitive and ready for new users. And that means there's a few more features to get there to make it a place for new users. And we're excited that communities, badges, cross-posting, notifications, and a few other things are done now, so we can focus on a whole new set of awesome new features to get towards our goal of heavy retention and being to that point where we can bring on and onboard tons of people. We look forward to your input. Where would you give us the input? Well, a good place to do it in the SteemPeak community. There's even posts down here, which we may need to pin at some point. Call for feedback. Well, that was a call for feedback on the beta, so now we should pin something else up top, maybe more for general feedback or just different error reporting. I hope you enjoyed this. There's a lot of new things. It maybe is even somewhat of a you've been using SteemPeak for a long time and you didn't know that a lot of this stuff existed, perhaps. Well, I hope now you feel more comfortable with a lot of these new features. We look forward to a lot of awesome things to come. And I hope you have a good day and enjoyed the podcast, even though the podcast was just with me and with a lot of talking. but should be pretty good. Thanks and have a good day.